Ya diddy da diddy da da da. 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 How lovely are your tents, O Jacob, your dwelling places, O Israel. Ma tovu olecha Yaakov, olecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Yisrael. Ma tovu olecha Yaakov, olecha Yaakov, mishkenotecha Shabbat Shalom, everybody, and welcome to our Shabbat morning service. We're coming to you from our beautiful sanctuary. I am Rabbi Javier Carapan, and I am joined by Leslie Zucker and our team of technical people behind the scenes. Today, I think we have more people behind the scenes than in front of the camera.
Yeah.
So, hello there behind the camera. Thank you for being here. If you're joining us on Facebook Live, links to the prayer pages and other information will be posted in the comments section. If you're watching us on the virtual sanctuary, the links to the PDF is right above the player, and all other links are in the e-news. Thank you again to our digital docents for managing our streaming. If you're watching us and you haven't done already, you're welcome in, good morning, Shabbat Shalom. We invite you to do that by typing Shabbat Shalom in the comments and click enter. That's also a way to check, make sure that you know how to do that. And you can post comments and then names later on for Mishe Berach and for the Kaddish.
And let us know where you're watching from. We love to go back and see where around the world you are.
If you have any technical issues during our streaming, we invite you to text 913-303-1134. That is our TAL, our technical assistance line. And please text that number, and one of our docents will get back to you as soon as possible. This is true for Facebook Live as well as the virtual sanctuary.
Yes.
I also think, we have that number available during the week. If you ever have, troubles in general, we can help you with some of our things too. So we want to be able to help you as much as we can so you're connected during this still crazy times of pandemic. Oof. We are joining together on our prayer book pages on page 288 as we sing at the bottom of the page, and we offer thanks to God, the ever-living sovereign, for having restored our souls and bring us to this beautiful gray, rainy morning, but still it's wonderful to be together on this Shabbat. We continue together on page 291. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe. With divine wisdom you have made our bodies, combining veins, arteries, and vital organs into a finely balanced network. Wondrous maker and sustainer of life, were one of them to fail, how well we are aware we would lack the strength to sustain life before you. Blessed are you, Adonai, source of our health and strength. Baruch atah Adonai rofeh chol basar umafli la'asot. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi, tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. Elohai neshama shenatata bi tehorahi. On page 293, together we join as we offer blessings, thanks for this daily miracles, Nisim Shebechol Yom, page 293.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lasech vivina lehavchin ben yom uven laila.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, pokeach ivrim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, matir asurim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, zokev kefufim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, roka haaretz al hamayim.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, amechim mitzadei gaver.
Amen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, מלביש החומים.
אמן. ברוך אתה, אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, הנותן ליהב כוח.
אמן. ברוך אתה, אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, המעביר שינה מעיני ותנומה מעפעפי.
אמן. ברוך אתה, אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, שעשני בצלם אלוהים.
אמן. ברוך אתה, אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, שעשני בת חורים.
אמן. ברוך אתה, אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, שעשני ישראל.
אמן. ברוך אתה, אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, עוזר ישראל בגבורה.
אמן. ברוך אתה, אדוני, אלוהינו מלך העולם, עוטר ישראל בתפארה.
Amen.
In the middle of page 302, together we join in the words of Tzaddik Katamar. Tzaddik Katamar yifrach ke'erez balvanon, balvanon yizke shetuli bebeit Adonai beratzot Eloheinu yafrichu od yenuvun beseva b'shenim verananim lehagid ki yashar Adonai zuri velo avlata bo. Page 306, Hallelujah. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Hallelujah, el bekodsho, hallelujah, b'kiyahuzo, hallelujah, b'vuvotav, hallelujah, kerov kulo. Hallelujah, hallelujah, continue together on page 307. Nishmat kol chai tevarech et shimecha Adonai Eloheinu. Let the soul of everything alive bless your name, Adonai our God, and the spirit of all flesh glorify and exalt your name forever, O sovereign. Transcending space and time, you alone are God. You are the unique sovereign who is Redeemer and Savior, God of the first and the last, God of all creatures, Master of all generations, who is praised in a multitude of praises, who guides the world with abundant loving kindness and all creatures with mercy. Adonai neither slumbers nor sleeps. We join together at the bottom of page 313 with the words Or Chadash al Zion Ta'ir, let a new light shine upon Zion.
Or Chadash al Zion Ta'ir, al Zion Ta'ir, Or Chadash al Zion Ta'ir, al Zion Ta'ir, ונזכה כולנו נהרה לאורו, ונזכה כולנו נהרה לאורו. אור חדש על ציון תאיר, על ציון תאיר, אור חדש על ציון תאיר, על ציון תאיר, ונזכה כולנו נהרה לאורו, ונזכה כולנו נהרה לאורו.
Page 314. The world is sunlight restoring the soul, rejoicing the heart, bringing light to the eyes, more welcomed than gold, a Torah from heaven. I have no light to give the morning. My Torah, my special human gift, is words. As I bring my words forth from silence, welcome them, you who redeem the sun from darkness. Baruch Ata Adonai, Yotzer HaMeorot. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בהם, בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם
בארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
אמת. Together on page 322, we sing Mi Chamocha. Mi Chamocha va'elim Adonai, Mi Chamocha נטל בקודש, נורא תהילות, עושה פלא, עושה פלא.
שירה חדשה שיבחו גאולים, לשמך על שפת הים.
יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ואמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. מי כמוך באלים אדוני, מי כמוך נדר בקודש, נורא תהילות, עושה פלא, עושה פלא, עושה פלא. We now move into our Amidah, our standing prayer. We begin with Tzur Israel, and then we continue through page 337. We will come together at the end in a song, a prayer. This moment we invite you to use the words in our Siddur and also offer a private prayer and meditation and time with your loved ones. Tzur Israel, page 322.
Tzur Israel, kuma be'ezrat Israel, ufdechinu mecha, Yehuda ve'Israel. Go'aleinu Adonai tzvaot shema, Kedosh Israel. Baruch atah Adonai, Gal Yisrael. Adonai sifetai tiftach, ufi yagi tehilatecha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש. ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד, כי אל מלך גדול, כי אל מלך גדול וקדוש אתה. לדור ודור, לדור ודור, לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים, ולנצח נצחים, קדושתך נקדיש.
Service continues with the service for the reading of the Torah on page 367.
Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu le'har kodesho. Romevu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu le'har kodesho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romevu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu le'har kodesho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'ishtachavu le'har kodesho.
Can you all hear the rain at home? No? It's really lovely. We can just hear it gently coming down on the roof and on the trees. I hope you can hear it wherever you are. It's such a lovely counterpoint to the praying and the singing to have this gentle rain. Oh, and we read about the Sea of Reeds. I just made that connection. Maybe that's why it feels so extra special, fuzzy to me today.
And actually, I hope there's nothing, but I was hearing a dripping over here on my left, which was good, but it sounded like it was dripping. But not inside. It's just, but the noises of the rain was beautiful today. So if you joined us last evening, you know that we read the Song of the Sea that here Leslie chanted beautifully. So we're not going to do that again this morning. We are actually going to read the Haftarah, which comes from the book of Shoftim, of Judges, chapter 4 and 5. We're going to be reading from chapter 5. You can find a link to the reading in the comments and was also included in the e-news. So the Haftarah for Beshalach is a song, a part of it. So chapters 4 and 5 of the book of Judges include the story of Deborah and her victory over the king, this Canaanite king who was menacing the Jewish people or the Israelites for about 20 years or so. Now, there are two traditions. One is the Ashkenazic tradition and the other one is Sephardic. The Ashkenazic tradition reads chapter 4, which is a prose account of the story of Deborah or Dvorah, and the Sephardim only read chapter 5, which is the actual song, Shirat Dvorah. And I don't know if our cameraman can help us with this, but I wanted to show you a copy. I don't know if you can see this. This is going to be a test.
Is that the Haftarah?
So. This is the Haftarah.
So it's written special.
It's written special like
the
Torah
itself.
portion
very
is written.
cool.
Yes. So now, historians teach us that poems tend to be the oldest texts found in the Hebrew Bible, and many suggest that the Song of Deborah, Shirat Dvorah, is the oldest text in the entire Hebrew Bible.
Wow.
I don't want to go down this road with you today because you will say, wait a minute, this is in the book of Judges and the Torah comes before the book of Judges. Yes, in the arrangement that we have today. How do we know that the Song of Deborah is older than Shirat Hayam, the Song of the Sea? Because of the language. And the language is, in Hebrew is a very bizarre Hebrew, which just have to trust me on this one. And a lot of us who went to rabbinical school have studied this text because, you have to, because otherwise it's very unclear. So we will read only a section of it, but I wanted to talk in general about the entire story of Deborah and especially then about the song. And for this, I'm actually using a new commentary. To me, it's not a new commentary. It's called the Women's Haftarah Commentary. In this particular commentary on Haftarat Beshalach is by Rabbi Deborah Schloss. Another Deborah talking about Deborah. So the story begins in the book of Judges, I say verse 4. But in chapter 5, verse 7, we kind of get to the story of Deborah in the middle. And the verse that is very famous is At shekamti Dvorah shekamti em beIsrael. Until there were all these troubles, until I arose, Dvorah, em beIsrael, a mother in Israel. You should know, even if you don't know the details, that important women in the Hebrew Bible are very few and far apart.
Yes.
Now, this particular story has two, Dvorah and Yael. We're not going to talk too much about Yael, but Yael is the one who finds Sisera, and she gets, so they had tents in those days, so she gets a peg from the tent, and that's how she kills Sisera. So, anyways, and but we're going to read a poetic rendition of that. But she's very famous because of that. But Rabbi Schloss in particular points out to something that you may not be familiar, because this comes from how the rabbis interpret these stories. And we always go back to that, in that that's our tradition. So we look at how the rabbis interpreted these stories. And the rabbis, I'm sorry to say, and I think Rabbi Schloss also is sorry to say, are not very kind to Deborah. You're like, wait a minute, Deborah, what are you talking about? They aren't. And the issue here is that Deborah is presented in the book of Judges with two major functions. One is to be a nevi'ah, a prophetess. And that they kind of accept a little bit. But then it says at the very beginning of the story that she was a judge over Israel. Shifta al Israel. And so the rabbis have a much harder time with seeing Deborah, a woman, being a judge. By the way, in the conservative movement, when they were discussing the ordination of women, the function of rabbis as judges was one of the main sticky points. It wasn't so much the prayers and the teaching piece, because there's no prohibition anywhere for women, teaching Torah, or they can get around it. But this one about judges is very, very hard. A Jewish historian writes, custom became master and custom is a tyrant. Custom survives the circumstances which gave birth to it, and because the retention of it is based on sentiment, is not amenable to the assault of reason. So you cannot reason with these rabbis to say, but wait a minute, the text, the pshat, the simple meaning of the text is that Deborah was a judge. And we'll go back to the mother piece in a minute. In the story, and this is just the irony of how the story is written, Barak in Hebrew, is the general who Dvorah calls up to go fight Sisera. And Barak tells Dvorah that he will only go if she accompanies him. But Deborah replies, quote, I will go with you, but you won't get any credit for the victory because God will hand Sisera over to a woman. So, again, you can't blame Deborah for anything. She was very much aware of the social milieu in which she operated. That if she was going to be seen as the one winning the battle, this wasn't going to be good for Barak and anybody else. This is a little, the irony of it all is that as it turns out, even though Deborah doesn't go with Barak, a woman still kills Sisera, which is Yael, and then only then Barak's army could continue to Hazor and kill King Jabin in his capital. So no matter how you look at this, without these two strong women, or I shouldn't say strong, that's not a good word, because why should we say strong? They're just women, right? They
are.
It's like they're women.
I would say you could say they're strong of character, strong of faith, and strong of courage.
And that piece will come back in just a minute, because towards the beginning of the story, of the Song of Deborah, which again is one of the oldest poems in the entire Hebrew Bible, if not the oldest, we have the words, deliverance cease in Israel until I arose, Dvorah, a mother in Israel. In the Talmud, the rabbis state that if a sage is boastful, his wisdom can leave him. And if prophets are boastful, their gift of prophecy can leave them. So the rabbis explain that because Deborah boasts that she is the mother of Israel, she is punished by God's Spirit by the God's Spirit departing from her. And their interpretation of in the last lines that we're going to read today on verse 12, awake yourself, Deborah, uri uri shir daberi, remember that we talked about yesterday in the Lecha Dodi, is that her ability to compose her song temporarily left her due to her presumed pride in referencing to herself as a mother of Israel. You know, when I was reading these things, I was getting madder and madder at the rabbi.
I'm a little irritated myself.
I mean, it's like, give her a break. And this is, something that Rabbi Schloss points out back at us again and again, which is that even if Deborah is actually saying those words, a mother of Israel, she's really lifting up the idea that is probably the most traditionally accepted role for women.
Yes.
To be a mother. I mean,
right.
Isn't that what you rabbis would like a woman to do, to become a mother? Yet the rabbis managed to punish her for this appellation. So what is actually going on here is that I think for many centuries and until today, we have looked at the Song of Deborah more from the point of view of the male center. And this is nothing new for all of you, but that's what I wanted to look at this women's commentary, to open my eyes also, and hopefully our eyes, to the fact that men and women all look at these things sometimes from the perspective of a male center.
Right.
And so in Deborah is part of that tradition as well. She is actually saying, I am a mother in Israel. And that is an important feature, almost as saying, I'm doing all the things for you people, but I'm doing it from a traditional stand. I don't want to be first in the battle, because that doesn't look good. I'm going to be the mother behind it. But if that was not enough to give Deborah credit, I think the song itself, really, when you read it, you can see that, like the Song of the Sea, and in this sense they are really come together, the person who gets all the credit for the deliverance from Egypt and from the battles between Sisera and the Israelites, it's not Barak or Deborah or Yael, and you guessed it, it's God.
Yeah.
So, and in that sense, Deborah is doing what everybody in her time was doing, or I'm not doing, trying to teach people. And I think this is when Deborah becomes not only a prophetess, but also a neviah, but also a teacher of the people. And in that sense, a true mother who teaches the people the right way of doing things. And Rabbi Schloss writes, what a beautiful lesson we can glean from Deborah's humility. While it would have been justifiable for Deborah to honor her role in bringing peace to the Israelites, the only being, with capital B, that she praises and glorifies is God. After we accomplish something noteworthy, besides feeling pride in ourselves, we would do well to follow Deborah's lead and remember to acknowledge how God enabled us to reach our new height. And in that, I think Deborah then becomes a great rabbi, if there was such a thing, of the Jewish people. So, there you go. By the way, I really love the poem. It's one of the most beautiful things. I'm going to read a little bit in Hebrew. Maybe somebody can Google this. I have not been able to find. So here's the question about the chanting. Like there are only a few things in the Torah that are chanted differently. And when Leslie chanted yesterday, you also noticed that if you were paying it, if you follow and if you hear that not all the song is chanted in this different melody, right. Only certain sections, which makes it hard to learn, right? Because you have to go from one to the other. Yeah. There isn't such a thing for the Song of Deborah that we know of, or that came down. Although we do know that ancient peans, these are what a pean, song of praise, of glorifying the epic of the heroes of the ancient world, that we have a way of chanting that. We're not going to get to the very end, but one of the most beautiful sections of the poem is towards the end, when it's talking about the mother of Sisera, and she is waiting for Sisera to come home.
Oh, dear.
And she's looking through the window, piercing out to see if she can see his chariot, not knowing that he had been killed. And that same scenes appear at the end of the Iliad, in which Penelope is looking for Hector coming. And also says the same words, piercing through, see if he's coming home or not.
So both sides
He is not. Neither one of them come home. But
both sides of the story are through women's eyes.
Yes. So, and there you can talk about comparing, the two mothers, the Em Israel Dvorah, and then the mother of the Canaanites. Both of them kind of center in the poem. But again, we won't get to the end because it's a fairly long poem. So we'll be reading from chapter 5, verses 1 through 12 only today. But before that, on page 372, we join together in the blessings before the Haftarah. If you know them at home and you'd like to join us, we can't hear you or see you, but we know you're there. So, Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam. What am I doing? That's
my
not
fault.
Right.
It's my fault.
We've been talking earlier. We've been saying this, I'm sorry.
So what happened while he is finding the melody in his head? Last night when I did the blessings for Torah, I sang an alternative melody, and so we were discussing melodies this morning, and we have sung so many melodies. They do all get jumbled up in your head from time to time.
I'm ready.
Okay.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar b'nviim tovim ורצה ודבריהם הנאמרים באמת. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בתורה ובמשה עבדו ובישראל עמו ובנביאי האמת והצדק. ותשת דבורה וברק ונבינועם ביום ההוא לאמור בפרוע פרעות בישראל והתנדב עם ברכו אדוני, שמעו מלאכים, האזינו רוזניים. אנוכי לאדוני, אנוכי אשירה, אזמר לאדוני אלוהי ישראל. אדוני בצאתך משעיר, בצעדך בשדה אדום, ארץ רשעם גם שמיים נתנו, גם אבים נטפו מים. הרים נזלו מפני אדוני, זה סיני מפני אדוני אלוהי ישראל. בימי שמגר בן ענת, בימי יעל חדלו אורחות, והולכי נתיבות ילכו, אורחות הקלקלות. חדלו פרזון בישראל, חדלו, עד שקמתי דבורה, שקמתי אם בישראל. On that day, Deborah and Barak, son of Avinoam, sang, when locks go untrimmed in Israel, when people dedicate themselves, bless the Lord. Hear, O kings, give ear, O potentates. I will sing to the Lord, will hymn the Lord, the God of Israel. O Lord, when you came forth from Seir, advanced from the country of Edom, the earth trembled, the heavens dripped. Yea, the clouds dripped water. The mountains quaked before the Lord, him of Sinai, before the Lord, God of Israel. In the days of Shamgar, son of Anath, in the days of Jael, caravans ceased and wayfarers went by a round path. Deliverance ceased ceased in Israel till you, O Deborah, arose a mother in Israel. When they chose new gods, was there a fighter than in the gates? No shield or spear was seen among 40,000 in Israel. My heart is with Israel's leaders, with the dedicated of the people. Bless the Lord. You riders on tawny she-asses, you who sit on saddle rugs, and you wayfarers declare it louder than the sound of archers. There among the watering places, let them chant the gracious acts of God, his precious deliverance of Israel. Then did the people of Adonai march down to the gates. Uri, Uri, Shir, Daberi. Awake, awake, O Deborah, awake. Strike up the chant. Arise, O Barak. Take your captives, son of Abinoam. Page 372, blessings after the reading of the Haftarah. Baruch Ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, tzur kol haolamim, tzadik bechol adorot, האל הנאמן האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק, על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו לקדושה ולמנוחה לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Amen.
As we gather together on this Shabbat, sharing words of Torah, we also share a blessing for those in need of healing. You may access the Misheberach list through our e-news that you received yesterday. You can also follow the link in the comments. If you'd like to offer names at this moment, please type them in the comments so we can all see them. Begin typing, and together we join our voices on page 371 in the Mi Sheberach prayer. Mi Sheberach Avoteinu Mekor HaBeracha of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen. As always, we think of those in need of healing together with those who help in healing. May those who care for the sick with their hands, their voices, and their hearts be blessed with courage and stamina. May those who pursue healing through medical skills and knowledge be blessed with insight, patience, and compassion. And may all of us, the sick and well together, find courage and hope. And let us say Amen. With refuah shel the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say Amen. We conclude the service for the reading of the Torah and the Haftarah this morning on page 374 with Etz Chaim.
Etz Chaim hi, lama kazikim ba, betomchea, beushan, derachea, darkeinu lechol netivotea, shalom, ashivenu Adonai, elecha v'nashuva, kadesh yameinu kekedem.
As we prepare for our moment of remembrance, I invite you to turn to page 595. יש כוכבים שאורם מגיע ארצה רק כאשר הם עצמם עבדו ואינם. They are stars up above, so far away we only see their light long, long after the star itself is gone. And so it is with people that we loved. Their memories keep shining ever brightly, though their time with us is done. But the stars that light up the darkest night, these are the lights that guide us as we live our days. These are the ways that we remember. If you're joining us on this Shabbat and are remembering a loved one, we invite you to put their names on the comments, type them, and then click enter. We, as a congregation, are observing the Shiva period for Joyce Fox, sister and sister-in-law of Ron and Judy Dubrov, and R. Michael Wren, father of Christopher Wren, and the Shloshim period for Marshall Harris Weingarten, husband of Judy Weingarten. And we, as a congregation, remember the following yortzites: A. E. Botwin, Dorothy M. Chapman, Natalie Eidler, Paul Eisenberg, Marjorie Franklin, Mordko Friedman, Justin Benjamin Gillespie, Dorothy Heiken, Lucia Lewandowski, Ethel Portman, Natalie J. Razafsky, Millie Riceboard, Harold Sandhouse, Audrey Schiff, David S. Seltzer, Raymond Shaw, Charlotte Silverman, Stephen Smith, Sylvia Betty Stone. Zichronam livracha, may the memories be for a blessing. Together we continue on page 598 with Kaddish Yatom, the mourner's Kaddish. Itgadal ve'itkadash shmei rabah, be'alema divra chirute ve'yamlich malchute, בחייכון ובמכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מברך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה, יתפתח וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתהלל, שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ביחתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דא אמירם בעלמה, ואמרו אמן. יהא שמלה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן.
עושה שלום, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. עושה שלום, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו. ועל כל ישראל,
It's time for some announcements. First, I would like to thank all of you who've joined us from our area and from around the country, maybe around the world.
Yeah.
A special thanks to Leslie Zucker for joining us this morning in beautiful music, and also our technical team and digital docents for all their work and dedication behind the scenes. Looking ahead for the next two Shabbatot, on Friday, February 5th, our Erev Shabbat will include a Torah service. And on Friday, February 12th, we will welcome Casa. Now, let me ask you a question about this. Do you say Casa with a Z or no? Casa.
Casa. Mm-hmm.
That's what I would say. It's pure Spanish to me. I cannot think about it.
Well, and because it's special, right? It's court-appointed special advocates since it's a...
Good. Court. Casa.
Casa.
To our first virtual Beit Knesset evening. You remember we used to do that with food and all that. You're going to have to get your own food for now. but we would like to come together for a virtual Shabbat dinner, services, and CASA informational session. Please join us to learn how we can support children in foster care. Just a reminder that it is more difficult in these times to know what is happening with all of you out there. If you know of someone who could benefit from a call from one of us, from one of the rabbis, please let us know by calling or emailing our office.
Yes, and is everyone sitting down? If we just passed Shabbat Shirah, that means that Purim is just around the corner. Shockingly close. And would you like to be part of our Megillah reading this year? We are going to do something so fun. We're going to have a Zoom with Megillah, music, and more. So if you would like to be part of that and read a little section of our Megillah in English, don't worry, please let me know. You can email me, Leslie Zucker, at lzucker@beth-torah.org. That's lzucker@beth-torah.org.
What happens if I want to do it in Hebrew?
If you want to do it in Hebrew, then I would recommend that you ask the rabbi if that is appropriate. I am guessing that he will say yes. So yes, I would say if you want to do it in Hebrew, we can go back and forth. Ooh, that would be fun. Now I'm having ideas. It's always dangerous when I have ideas. Next midweek song session is this coming Wednesday, February 3rd at 7 o'clock. And finally, the toothpaste comes out tomorrow. That's right, I went there. Bring your toothbrushes and toothpastes that you're donating for the Calvary Temple Wellness Center tomorrow, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., rain or shine, unless there's a blizzard or an ice storm. We will be out there shivering our little tushes off to take your collections.
Should I wear my Chiefs?
Yeah. I think everybody
called?
should dress in their Chiefs stuff to get ready for next week. If you're not receiving our e-news, which contains all of this information and more, let us know. We're also very excited. Stick around. So last night we had the reveal of our Tree of Life and those leaves purchased for the Chai Hopes. And we are going to show it again because it got such a wonderfully positive response. And in case you didn't get a chance to see it, that is how we're going to end our services today after our closing song,
which is Ozi v'zimerataya. The words come from partially from the book of Exodus, chapter 15, and then from a book of Psalms. But they all harken back to the Song of the Sea, Shirataya. Ozi v'zimerataya vayihi lelishua. Ozi v'zimerataya vayihi lelishua. Izuz v'gibor ya gibor milchama. Izuz v'gibor ya gibor milchama. Ozi v'zimerataya vayihi lelishua. Ozi v'zimerataya vayihi lelishua. Izuz v'gibor ya gibor milchama. Izuz v'gibor ya gibor milchama. Ozi v'zimerataya vayihi lelishua. Ozi v'zimerataya vayihi lelishua. Izuz v'gibor ya gibor milchama. Izuz v'gibor ya gibor milchama. Shabbat shalom, everybody. Stay healthy out there.
Shabbat Shalom. I'm Barry Katz, and I'm here virtually with Dave Zucker. Dave and I are both members of Beth Torah's Fund Development Committee, and today we are celebrating the success of a fundraising initiative our committee created on the fly in response to the challenges created by the pandemic. Last March, as the shutdown began, we realized that financial challenges lay ahead and that our ability to fundraise could be severely limited. We quickly decided on a very direct approach, a letter to the congregation explaining Beth Torah's needs and asking for a monthly contribution of $18 for 12 months, chai every month for a year. We also thought that the energy behind this and the resulting generosity would be more visible and lasting by giving all High Hopes donors a leaf on our tree of life.
The response from our congregation, all of us, was immediate and gratifying. 71 members stepped forward and contributed over $20,000 that will eventually lead to the addition of 100 leaves on our tree of life. Our original plan was to celebrate this success during the first Shabbat when we could gather in person again after the pandemic. But we got tired of waiting and then got excited about the idea of revealing the new leaves at Tu B'Shvat, the ultimate celebration of trees. As a committee, we decided to make this video so that everyone can join us in celebrating our congregational commitment to growing Beth Torah's symbolic tree of life. We will post this video on our website along with images of our new leaves so that everyone who contributed can see their leaves and share in the nachas of our accomplishments as a congregation.
If the pandemic is a cloud over our daily lives, then High Hopes is a silver lining. Our tree has blossomed, and we are grateful to those who made that possible. But the growth doesn't need to stop here. The High Hopes campaign is over, but anyone and everyone can still purchase leaves at any time to commemorate a mitzvah or a simcha. With every leaf, together we help to lengthen and strengthen the roots of Beth Torah that nourish us all. We can't wait to once again stand with you in person and toast l'chaim to Beth Torah. Thank you all again, and shalom.